We're going to start out by washing some baking potatoes. I'm using this brush to try to get in all the grooves because people might be eating the skin of these potatoes. I actually love to eat the skin of potatoes. So we want to make sure that there's no dirt stuck in any of the grooves here. So we're just going to wash the potatoes and then move them over onto this pan. I put some foil on the pan to make cleanup a little bit easier. I'm going to be baking these potatoes at 500 degrees. So that's why I didn't use my silicone baking mat that I usually use. I don't think it does good at 500 degrees. I don't think you're supposed to put them in that hot. So I'm just going to use foil. And we're going to clean everything up. We have 6 potatoes. So we're just going to clean them on up. Get them on the pan. Get them in a 500 degree oven. I'm going to set a timer for an hour. We need these totally cooked because we're going to be scooping out the insides and then double stuffing them. And I actually tried, when I was picking these potatoes, to find ones that kind of look like this one that are going to sit flat, because once we cut them in half, we're going to have 2 halves open like this. And if they're not as rounded on one of the sides, it's going to be easier to stand them up. So we have 2 left. While they bake, you can go do something else for a little while. So I'm going to go take a shower and get something else done while they bake. And then we'll be back to scoop out the insides. And we're going to add some yummy ingredients and double stuff them. And then we're going to bake them again. These can be made ahead of time. And you just bake them, double stuff them. And then you put them away. And then when you need them, you can just microwave them. All right, let's get these in the oven. I'm going to set the timer for an hour and cook them at 500. It's been an hour. We're going to take these potatoes out of the oven and just put them on top. Let them cool for a couple minutes so that I can handle them a little easier. And then we're going to continue on with our recipe. The potatoes are out of the oven and they've cooled off a little bit. So the first step to making these double stuffed potatoes is to cut them in half, just like this. And we're going to be careful because you don't want to scrape out too much of the insides, because then it's not going to be able to hold the filling. You need a little bit of strength here, or else the potato skin is just going to collapse. So you're just going to very carefully dig out some of the potato and try to leave like a little wall of potato left in the skin. I'm going to see if I could show you guys. So I got some of it out and I left some of it in there just to give this some strength. And I'm going to switch to the other side. And we're just going to do the same thing. Try to get some of the potato out very carefully and leave just a little bit in here to give this some strength. So I've let my potatoes cool maybe for 30 minutes just so that I could handle them here. Okay, so here's the next one. And I'm just going to keep going until all of them are cut in half and scooped out. And here's what I was trying to tell you guys before. So this potato, it's like bigger long ways than this way. So when I cut them, I want them to be able to sit flat like this and not roll around. So I'm going to cut it like this, so that after I scoop it out, these 2 parts are going to be able to sit nicely and not move. They're going to be able to stand up. So I knew that I was making this recipe, so I deliberately tried to find potatoes that had a shape of what I was looking for. You're not always going to find them, but I got a few this time that were kind of what I was looking for here. You want to make sure these potatoes are all the way cooked through, or else it's going to be really hard to get this filling out. Okay, so here's the next one. I'm just going to squeeze it on the pan. Now you might need more than one pan because they fit on one pan when we started, but now they're all going to be opened up. So it's going to kind of look like it's twice as much as it was before. So they might not all fit. We're going to see how many we can get on this pan first. Maybe I should line them up like this if they'll fit. All right. I'm going to keep going and I'll be back in 1 second. All right. So all of the potatoes have had the insides taken out. I put it all in a bowl. They actually did fit on this tray. So I have them all right here. And here is what was in the middle. And now I am going to move on. We're going to start building up our filling. So I have a stick of butter here. 4 tablespoons equals a 1/4 cup. So I'm going to take 4 tablespoons and I'm going to run this over to the microwave and just soften it up a little bit, and then we are going to add it into the bowl. The butter's all softened and I'm just going to dump this into our potatoes. And we can actually start to add some of our seasonings. So the first thing we're going to add is some salt, just a little bit. And next up is pepper. All right, we got that in. And after that, we're going to add some garlic powder. So do as much or as little as you'd like. This is to your taste. So with the spices, you can put more, less, you can omit, whatever you guys want to do here. It's not really going to affect the consistency of this. I'm going to move on to the sour cream. So let's see what it calls for. Sour cream is 3/4 cup. So I'm just going to take this and I'm going to just eyeball it here. This is a full cup, so I'm not going to put the whole thing in. So let's get, this looks like about 3/4. This doesn't have to be super exact because there's no way to tell like how big your potatoes were and how much is even coming out of them. 6 of my potatoes today could not be the same amount in this bowl as 6 potatoes a week or 2 from now. So this doesn't have to be super precise. That actually makes this recipe a little bit easier. So sour cream going in. And we are going to move on. Let's see, we did butter, garlic, salt, pepper, sour cream. Let's shred up some cheddar cheese. So I have my grater and I have 1 block here. This is the Cabot brand and I think it's called Vermont Sharp. I've actually been to the Cabot. I wouldn't call it a factory. What would you call it? A creamery? I don't know. I've been there in Vermont actually, and they show you how they make all their products and you can buy all different types of stuff. It was really neat actually. So I'm just going to grate up the whole brick and then I'm just going to look and see if we're going to put everything in. I probably will because I like everything. Who doesn't like everything covered in cheese, right? So we'll probably put the whole thing in. So I'm just going to grate this up and we're going to give that a look and see how much we're going to put in. Cheese is all grated. Yes, I put the whole block in. I knew I was going to. So I'm just going to give this a little mix with this rubber spatula. And I have this hand mixer. I don't know if you're going to be able to hear me over it, but let's see. I'm going to just mix everything up and try to like smash up all the chunks of potatoes. And then we're going to start spooning it into the potato shells. All right. Let's get everything mixed. I want to try to get all these big hunks broken up here. Let's get everything mixed up evenly. I'm actually going to add some milk. We don't want a lot because we don't need this to really be runny. Maybe just a little bit. So this is basically like mashed potatoes. We're going to put them in the shells and then bake them. All right, I'm going to keep mixing. I got out my milk. We're going to add 1/3 cup. And I'm going to keep mixing. And this should just about do it. All right, now everything is really coming together here. All of those big hunks of potato are all broken up. It's nice and creamy. You can smell that garlic. These are going to be really good. Here is a close-up of what the potato mixture is looking like. And all this cheese is going to get melted in the oven when we bake them. So this looks pretty good. I'm going to start scooping it into the potatoes. So we're going to take this out. And I'm going to move this in here. All right. Let's start scooping. So we're just going to take each one of these. Try to get this in. Trying to get it kind of even with the top. Okay, this looks as even as I can get it. So this one's going to go down. We're just going to take the next one. Grab some of the mixture. Stick it in. Try to even it out. And put it down. I'm just going to keep going until all the potato skins are filled up with this mixture. I'm always curious to see if I have enough mixture or too much mixture by the time I get to the end here. If you didn't have enough, you could try to take like a tiny spoonful of the mixture out of each potato skin and try to get enough for the last one. But I want to say that I usually have too much because we took the potato out and then we put sour cream and cheese and all this good stuff, milk. So we should technically have more mixture now. Too much. I want to say a couple times I had way too much and I wound up cooking the potato mixture in little ramekins because I didn't have the heart to waste it. So let's see what we end up with here. This one has a little too much. All right, I'm going to keep going. So I stuffed all the potatoes and I had just a little tiny bit left. So what I'm going to do is just grab what I had left. And I have this ramekin that you can cook in the oven and it won't break. So this was it. This was all that was left. I'm going to put this on a little separate pan and we're going to get these potatoes over to the oven now. I just set my oven on 350 degrees. Here are the potatoes. I'm going to put them on the top rack and I'm going to set a timer maybe for, what do you guys think? I never write down the times on my recipes. Let's set a timer for 30 minutes and I'm going to check and we're going to see. I mean, there's nothing raw in here that's not going to hurt. You know, it's not going to hurt you It's just cheese and potatoes, but I really want them to be like nice and piping hot and the cheese to be melted. I want it to be a little bit browned on the top. So let's check them in 30 minutes and see where we stand. So it's been exactly 1 hour. The one that was in the ramekin took 40 minutes, but all the other potatoes took 1 hour to bake at 350 degrees. I actually ate the one in the ramekin. It was so good. So we have this left, and these are going to be an addition to our salad dinner that we're going to have tomorrow. So I'm just going to put these on a platter or some sort of container so that we can just microwave them and heat them up tomorrow. All right, we are pretty much all wrapped up here. I put all the potatoes in this bowl. I don't know if you can see how deep it is. I'm going to put some saran wrap on top of it and put these away. I'm going to have these tomorrow with salad. And these will probably keep for at least 3 days. You could eat them. So you could just pop them into the microwave, heat them up, and you have a nice little side dish for whatever it is that you're having for dinner. So in addition to all these, I have 4 more on the stove that I'm just going to put in a small Tupperware. And that's about it, guys. If you stayed this far, thanks for staying until the end. I really appreciate it. Happy cooking!